Jordan Peterson sat down with Alex O'Connor, and O'Connor, I think, did the best job in pressing Peterson about his belief in God and Christianity than anyone that I've ever seen. This is a phenomenal podcast if you care or question the deepest beliefs that we hold as human beings, especially as they relate to Christianity. There is a moment, though, where Jordan Peterson, being pressed on the Christian belief of whether the resurrection of Christ really happened, committed to an answer I was actually shocked that he made. They then go on to talk about belief in the other miracles of Christ. Listen to them go back and forth here in this clip, and then I'll finish with why this is so important for you to understand about this way of life that we call Christianity.
I think a lot of people interpret Paul, for example, the earliest New Testament source, as saying that if Jesus did not literally rise from the dead, if there was not a man who stopped breathing and then started breathing again, then your faith is futile and you're still in your sins. That is, Christianity is undermined. Now, that means that, and Paul doesn't say, sort of believing that that's false is really bad. He says, if you do not believe this proactively, then your faith is futile.
The problem I have with that.
If you don't proactively believe that yourself, then I think when a Christian asks you, do you believe in the resurrection of Jesus? Are you a Christian? I think you must be committed to saying no, at least under that interpretation of Paul. And even if you're not sure, I mean, it's fine if I say to you, do you think that a man physically rose from the dead? And you say something like, well, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, but I think it has a lot of mythological significance, or I think that maybe it happened in a different sense, or it happened in the sense that good fiction happens, then fine. But it needs to begin with that caveat of the simple sort of, historically speaking, I don't know. And I know you don't like to pull out the historical Jesus from the mythological.
That's a good objection.
But it's an important question to ask.
No, of course. It's a very good objection. So I just did a seminar on the Gospels with a crew of about 8 people, and it was the same crew that walked through Exodus with me with a couple of variations. And we spent a lot of time on the resurrection accounts, for example. And of course, that was the toughest, morsel to chew and digest. The thing about the resurrection accounts is that they're all, look, so I could say something like this, which will just annoy people, but it doesn't matter. I believe the accounts, but I have no idea what they mean.
When you say you believe the accounts, do you mean, and I hate to be sort of pedantic here, it seems pedantic, but do you mean you believe that these are things that happened such that that's a strange
thing.
I know you don't like that. Let me put it this way. If I went back in time with a Panasonic video camera and put that camera in front of the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, would the little LCD screen show a man walk out of that tomb?
I would suspect yes.
So that to me seems like a belief in the historical event of the resurrection, or at least of Jesus leaving the tomb, which means that when somebody says, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? It doesn't seem clear to me why you're not able to just say, it would seem to me yes.
Because I have no idea what that means. And neither did the people who saw it.
I mean, I suppose one...
Look, let's approach this obliquely, let's say. The miracle of the loaves and the fishes. Okay, so people will say, well, do you believe that happened literally, historically? It's like, well, yes, I believe that. It's okay. Okay, what do you mean by that? That you believe that? Exactly. So you tell me you're there in the way that you described.
Right.
And
what do you see?
What are the fish doing exactly? And the answer is you don't know. You have no notion about it at all. You have no theory about it.
Sure.
So your belief is, what's your belief exactly?
Well, I think a Christian might say something like, my belief is that I have no idea, looking at those fish, what I would see in the process of them being converted into enough food for the 5,000 to eat. I have no idea what I would see. But I do know that what I would see is the fish end up being spread amongst the 5,000. In the same way, like if I opened up the water jar, what would I see when the water became wine? I have no idea. Does it sort of blend from one color into another? Does it suddenly snap? Does it disappear and then reappear? I don't know. But what I do know as a Christian is that I would see something at some event in which, when I look at the beginning, it's water, and when I look at the end, it's wine. And I mean actually. I don't mean that Jesus turning water into wine is some kind of, inextricably mythological story, and the question of whether it happened sort of doesn't matter, or maybe it happened in a meta manner, or maybe it happened in a hyper reality sense. No, I would be, as a Christian, committed to saying that it happened historically.
I'm more inclined, rather than to believe, I'm more inclined to understand. And then when I hit the limits of my understanding, I think, I don't understand that. Now, do I believe it or not believe it? I think often, especially with regards to biblical matters, let's say, I have a suspension of belief and disbelief.
Yeah, and that's fine too.
I think part of the reason that I've been able to be an effective interpreter of the biblical texts and a relatively scientific interpreter is because I approach the texts with respect, the same respect that I would approach a lab animal. It's like, I don't know what this is. Like, I seriously don't know. And I'm not going to come at it with axiomatic assumptions that are unquestionable. I'm going to try to see what's right in front of my eyes. I'm going to try to see what mystery reveals itself if I take this phenomenon seriously.
Peterson answered this question like a disciple would have. What do I mean? Christians need to stop pretending that we have any clue how these things actually happened. It's this arrogant, prideful, walking and talking like we know how these things happened and telling others that they must do the same in order to be saved that is such a turnoff about Christians in our modern time. Even Jesus' closest and first disciples could not believe, could not understand what was happening right before their eyes. The question after Jesus calmed the storm at sea, who is this that even the wind and the sea obey? The common theme of the Gospels after the miracles are always people left dumbfounded. Like, how in the heck did that just happen? It did not make sense to them. Something was one way and then it was another. And that is the mystery of Christ, the strange and mysterious thing that happens when a thing, or you or anyone, encounters Christ is it was one way and then it was another. The prostitute turned disciple Mary Magdalene expresses this. I don't know what happened. I was one way and now I'm another. The only difference is I encountered Christ. This is a testament to my own faith, and I know the faith of many as well. I was one way, and somehow, after encountering Christ, I'm another. The scales fell from my eyes. I was blind, and now I see. I gave up my life, and then I found it. I am unexplainably, miraculously, a higher form of human being, a higher form of living thing. I have no other choice but to accept it because it really happened to me. And what I became after encountering Christ was everything that I was looking for. To whom else shall I go? I don't understand, but I cannot deny it. It works. It gives life. It's the better way to live. The crazy and mind-boggling thing about Christ and Christianity is that these things took place historically, materially, and they are also archetypal and universal. They are historical events that took place in the material world, and they are stories that contain eternal and universal truths. They are fact and fiction. They are true physically and spiritually. Christianity, Christ, Jesus, and God are just way deeper, mysterious, fundamental than our modern world has made them out to be.